Ophelia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
This
I'm
is
so
way,
excited.
way long overdue. I feel like I hear your name constantly everywhere. We've had a chance to meet, shake hands, I don't know how many times, 2 or 3 times, something like that.
Probably.
Well, welcome, you're here.
Thank you. I love this place. I love the putting green. I love the assortment of stuff.
And you were nice enough to bring us a little mushroom present.
Yes, a little light up mushroom.
Yeah, it's very nice of you, but welcome. I'm really excited to do this. So I know we talked about this a little bit before, but the concept is basically there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the cannabis industry. And I think you're a person that's going to have a good opinion on some of those. I also like to think I'm the kind of person that has opinions that other people sometimes like to listen to. You know, opinions are like assholes, right? Like everybody has one, but some people's are more interesting than others. I'll say that.
Well, I probably have 2 because I've probably given another asshole by someone.
You have 2 assholes?
Well, it's like, there are times when I've been called out enough that I practically have a second asshole because of that. So, thank you.
But let's give a little background before we get into these
Sure.
topics. You've been through a couple different companies in the cannabis industry now. When did you get into the cannabis industry?
I got in about 5 years ago. 5.5 years ago.
Okay. So in cannabis, that's 100 years.
It's about 4 dogs and 6 cats lifetime right there.
And what were you doing before?
I was my career spanned over 2 decades, probably more than that. Starting with photography for Ray Gun, I worked in music. I shot for a lot of bands. I shot for
what
labels.
kind of bands? Anybody we know?
I was the first photographer for Alanis Morissette.
Word.
Yeah, so she was just recording.
Actually, this is funny. Mm-hmm. I really like Alanis Morissette because my older sister, who's 3 years older than me, was like right in the core demographic for Alanis Morissette and was a huge fan. Jagged Little Pill.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
You played it really loud when you broke out with someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like rain on your wedding day. Anyway, I digress. So you used to do a lot of photography for bands and Alanis Morissette.
And labels. Then segued into art direction for labels like World Dom. I did some work for Epitaph. And then again, I got headhunted. I keep getting headhunted. I went to a film company, so I distributed about between 50 and 60 films.
Wow.
And
independent films? Or
yeah,
what kind
like
of?
Gus Van Sant, Todd Solondz, a lot of foreign films, a lot of LGBTQ.
Actually, that's
96.
fascinating. Total side. We should talk about this afterwards, but I have a couple movie projects that are on my desk.
I would love to see
and
it.
we should talk about them
Yeah,
afterwards.
because I was creative director for Slam Dance for 10 years. And then also Sundance, Outfest, LAIFF, and a few very smaller ones.
So are you like the most LA person ever? Is that what I'm hearing?
Considering
here?
Canadian, yes. I like a chameleon. I have adopted, thrown away the bacon and picked up the hot dog.
Where are you from originally?
Tirana.
Okay.
That's how we say it. It's
Tirana.
Like, yeah, no one says Frisco because then you're a tourist. But if you are,
I don't say San Fran either.
No, I say in Toronto it's Tirana. Yeah, where are you from? Toronto. No, I'm from Mississauga.
But
yes?
Drake doesn't say it like that.
Well, yeah, but I'm a short Chinese woman, right? So I'm gonna say it the way short Chinese people say it. Tirana.
You do you.
Yes.
You got to be you.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes. If
Got it.
if I did Drake, it would look really weird.
Okay, so you're a creative director.
Yes.
And 2014.
Yes, I was creative director for a lot of stuff, and so basically I've gone through about 6 to 8 careers, and each one built on the other. Right. So you learn something from one, you put it into the next bucket. And so finally in 2014, 15, near the tail end of 14, I had my first experience of cannabis. It wasn't me
First ever.
Well, I did it in high school, but then in high school it was snap, crackle, pop weed, right?
What does that mean?
It was a lot of
Seeds and stems.
Seed. Yeah, oh God. You kind of thought, it's a bonus. We got seeds. If I had kept all those seeds when I went to high school, oh my God, I probably have a landrace collection. That's incredible. Because you sit there and just pull out all this stuff and go, seed, twig, chicken foot, seed. Oh, we finally got some weed here. And you crumble
What's a
it up.
chicken foot?
Well, or a chicken claw. Sometimes you get those little branches that look like a little chicken paw foot thing. Oh, did I just make that up?
I don't know. I think I was born and raised in California.
Oh.
And the weed was always
cleaner.
Pretty popping.
Oh my God. No, we got it. I think in Toronto it came from Jamaica, like the West Indies.
Oh my God.
Because we called it Sensimilia.
I smoked weed in Jamaica. It was trash.
Oh, well, hey, that's called Canadian. Well, actually, it hasn't really changed that much in Canada, has it?
Have you been to Amsterdam?
I am going to go next year.
The weed from Jamaica and Amsterdam also trash.
Oh.
God.
It's always very spongy. It feels like it's
But see, the thing
wet.
is, I love Amsterdam culturally, but the weed here is so much better than in Amsterdam.
Okay. We come here, California, we come here for the avocados, grapes, romaine lettuce, wine, and the weed.
I also really like the women.
Amsterdam, we go for the cheese. Do you go there for the women and the cheese or just the women?
I was talking about California.
Oh. All right.
Do you like the Beach Boys?
Yeah.
California girls?
Those things, well, I don't know. I'm kind of...
The East Coast girls.
That wasn't what drew me here. So let's just say that much. It wasn't
I was just adding my own addition.
Oh, okay.
Little amendment.
Okay.
So why weed? You had your first weed experience.
Yes, because a very close family member is very sick. And so she had to travel here from another country to see if it would help. Because she is, it's not a curable disease. And so she was eating a little edible, right? And I thought, oh my God, you're a stoner. And then I thought, oh shit. And I walked up to my computer and I typed in at Getty Images, stoner, right? See how they saw this person. And the keywords, because when you search for stock images, you put in keywords like dog, red ball, and all this stuff. Yep. So the keywords for stoner were, besides stoner, was addict, convict, illegal, drug dealer, all this stuff. And I was thinking, okay, so that's how they see my family member. That's not right. And that's when StockPot was started. Okay. And basically January 8th of 2015.
Okay.
And then we pivoted just this month too.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So I think that it kind of brings up an interesting question for me anyway, which is almost the entire world has moved into digital advertising except for the cannabis industry.
Well, you mean like having like Google ads? Or
yeah, I mean like how most of the shit is sold in the world.
Well, yeah, but we can't yet.
I understand. But as someone that spent a lot of time with print media, is that a huge advantage for you now?
No, because here's what happened just at the beginning of this month. So StockPot has been around, right, for about 5 years, and we had partnered with Adobe. What happened was when I began, because you remember 2014 through 2015, it was still Prop 215.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I loved it then, by the way.
Oh, God. Yeah. weeping. There's people weeping. And so it was very hard to get
64 is cool. I like legal weed, but honestly, life hasn't changed very much.
Well, it has for images, because in 2015, you can go up to some farmers and say, hey, dude, let me come shoot photos of your farm. Right? They'll probably go no.
Right.
Politely, right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, cousin, I need some stock photos of people smoking a joint. Can you model for me? No. Right. I was very, I'm going to use the word taboo back then. So when I began it was very hard to get these images.
Yeah.
And so I ramped it up to about 250 photographers,
okay.
about 30,000 images,
okay.
partnered with Adobe. And then Prop 64 happened. So then you had 420 tours. You had, here's my plants, come over and take photos. Everyone wanted to be shot with a joint. Right. As we look at MedMen, which they ripped off my campaign. And so then what happened? So now I'm looking at it's diminishing returns. So I changed the StockPot into now assignment agency because I can get my photographers more work at more money than what we were doing in stock. I still have the whole collection of the 3,000 strains and things like that with the other photographer, Justin McIver. But even then, no one wants bud shots anymore, right? Because who's carrying 200 strains at their store, right? Or even
there aren't 200 viable strains to be in the store.
Right. And if you go down into the last maybe 92% of them, they're basically just a version of sherbet or a version of something else.
Yeah.
It was just
I have 3 cakes right now.
Oh, wedding,
lava, sherbet.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And
all the cakes.
So we don't need those photos anymore. And so that's why I went through the pivot.
Okay.
And then on top of that, layered on top of that, I started Green Sky Strategy with the ex-CEO of Altria, which is Philip Morris. They bought Jewel and they bought Kronos. You know, Lord Jones is very happy about that. God, the guy who invested in with them made $100 million off that deal. And I just saw their ads. I just heard their ads on MSNBC. So, anyways, I digress. So now I partner with these Fortune 150 executives. And basically what we do now is help companies turn around, right? So we go in, restructure, fix it, and then bring the money too, right? So they can do all that. So that's what we're doing now. Because working with these two guys who worked with...
but largely for distressed companies,
yes,
right?
because they
well,
have both...
Then it's a very exciting time for you right now.
Oh, there's a lot.
Eric and I don't really position ourselves directly that way, but that's what we're doing. Basically now it's like all these companies, they don't know what the fuck to do. You know, it was easy to waste money on billboards. That was the easy thing to do. Now what?
Could we talk about commercials?
We absolutely can. That's a great
That
transition.
too?
Let's talk about marketing in the cannabis industry. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, right?
I got slammed for this once, but I told somebody, you know, we're just making it up as we go. But the other thing is too, it's a challenge, which makes it exciting. Let's think of say for instance, you're given obstacle course, right? Yeah. So you don't know what's going to come next. Is it tires? Is it jumping over the sharks or whatever? But you kind of...
That's a crazy obstacle course. We're jumping over sharks?
Yes.
Where is this? Are you a daredevil? Or are you like a risk taker?
Let's just do it. So, or jumping over your overly friendly ants. Let's...
What were we talking about?
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, so it's advertising.
Yeah.
Is once we're off Schedule 1, but then again, there's a lot of restrictions on tobacco, a lot of restrictions on beer, wine, alcohol, and there's going to be restrictions once it's public for weed too.
Yep. Sure.
You just have to be
let's
funny.
look at the alcohol model.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you go on the internet, anywhere, there are Bud Light ads with young, attractive women that were probably shot on the beach in Venice here. And yes, there are regulations, there are rules, but the way anything is sold today is purely just cost of acquisition versus lifetime value. That's how everything works today. Like, that's how Amazon works. That's how everything works. And so in the cannabis industry, everybody's just grasping at straws. Like, oh my God, I sponsored Northern Nights, and oh my God, I got a lot of business cards from it. And like, that's success, right? Am I wrong? Is that what you're seeing too?
I think that's a level of success for people who haven't been in another industry.
Yes.
Right. And so you raised the point about the ads and I completely forgot.
It's all good.
But the thing is that what we have to watch out for is, okay, so you're going back to the beer with the girls, right? It'd be really great to have weed on football teams. Oh, here's what was my point. I'm not going to name the cafe, and I'm not going to name the weed company that had partnered. In our industry, in any other industry, if you had two major companies come together, create a business, and within 2 months, all of a sudden it's a different name, you go, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
What? Oh my God, scandal. But in cannabis, you can have a cafe completely change its name In 2 months, everyone goes, oh, that makes sense.
What did happen?
What did happen? I don't know. Do you know?
You know.
I don't know.
Well, speculate.
Probably it was put together very quickly. Wasn't quite thought out, and somebody saw a lot of liability. But then also, when you have people come and partner, and there's a lot of money, or something happens, okay, this is what it's like. You meet somebody where this is great, this is amazing, we're having fun, I can't wait to start working with you. First month, right? Second month. So are you going to do any of that stuff? Yeah, I'll get to it. Okay, all right, go team. Third month. Where are you? Right. I think it is the honeymoon period ended so abruptly over something that they could not agree on. But it was the shortest honeymoon ever.
I like all those theories.
I'm trying to be staying out of the... What I'm trying to say is that I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Only because I already have two assholes. I don't need a third one.
But you know or you don't know?
I have two assholes. I don't want a third.
Okay, fair enough. I just think it's possible that people didn't want to buy Lowell's products. Is that possible?
Okay. What restaurant would you go to and they only served Pabst Blue Ribbon?
That's
except for Medieval Nights. That's the only thing you can get there.
Right. We're talking about West Hollywood, you know.
Yeah, but we're attracting. But the thing is, for new people, that's still fine.
I know it's fine, but what have we learned about the cannabis industry? We're huge fickle percentage of the sales come from a very small percentage of consumers. So the only way that a cafe like that makes it is if people like you and I go over there and have meetings and smoke weed and hang out there. That's it. And look, I don't smoke Lowell's. I'm sorry. Lowell's is cool. I'm connecting with them. Shout out. They're probably going to be on the show. They're a relevant thing. They're a cool thing. I also don't drink Bud Light. You know, it's not bad. It just is what it is. And I kind of think that's part of the story. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no evidence.
So do you think on the cafe side they wanted more variety?
Yeah, I think they thought to themselves, this is West Hollywood. We have a weed cafe. We don't need fucking Lowell's. Right? Isn't that? I don't know. I have no information. Nobody told me anything.
Because it is a good point. Would you go to a restaurant that only serve
No, it's weird. And they don't only... I went there one time. They were nice enough to give me a reservation. It's hard to get a reservation. And now I'm shitting all over them. But anyway, I'm really not shitting on them. I think that we're learning in this industry. We're doing better. They've done a lot of things really well. And obviously there's always room for improvement. That's all. But when I was there, they don't only have Lowell's products, but they have mostly Lowell's products, I would say.
Right. I never went.
Yeah.
Because to me, I did not want to spend money to smoke weed and eat.
Yeah, but it's a cool experience, though, I have to say.
I know, but
I had a really good time.
Well, I'd never seen any Oscar-winning film either.
Well, except for Godfather. It's not like Amsterdam. I spent a lot of time in the cafes in Amsterdam. I spent a lot of time in the lounges in San Francisco. It's a unique thing. I'm telling you. And the food was good. I had a good experience. But, yeah, I mean, you're sitting in a backyard smoking weed, you know? I mean, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Maybe eventually I'll head over.
You should go. You'll like it. Look, you're in this industry. Like, at least you should be knowledgeable about it.
All right.
I don't want to go to Vegas next week, but I'm going.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about some more topics. We can market all we want. Right.
All day, every day. Very smart people like you can come in and help people with all sorts of things. But until they lower the taxes in this state, people are going to just continue buying black market weed.
All right. There's that. But do you want to talk about the myth of the female buyer, the soccer mom?
Absolutely, I do. The idea that there's this mythical big swath demographic that's just dying, just killing themselves to find low dose anything. Vape pens, edibles, tinctures, bath bombs, toothpicks.
toilet paper,
Toilet
mattresses,
paper,
pillows,
tampons.
yoga pants. Remember the CBD infused
There's CBD yoga pants?
Yes, and it just had a CBD
How does
mattress.
that even work?
I don't know.
How do they even pretend that it works?
It would make your asshole relax.
What?
Well, what else is it? What I mean, like you're putting it on your.
But you don't shit with yoga pants on.
No, but you're wearing it, right? It's gonna be close to it. That's how my yoga pants are. I don't know about yours.
So I'm constipated for the day.
Okay.
And I put these yoga pants on, and I walk around all day, and it loosens my shit up. That's what it's supposed to do.
I don't think they promise that. I think it's like more when you're doing yoga, you'll be extra more anti-anxiety, less inflamed. But
this is amazing.
Yeah. But I've been trying to push CBD toilet paper for the longest time. Do you know what it's called? Oh, here's the motto for my CBD toilet paper. Don't feel the burn. But the thing is, and also the sheets.
Does it have pictures of Trump on it?
No, but the sheets, you can roll one off while you're taking a dump and roll a joint.
Okay.
It's like joint paper.
What kind of papers are they?
I don't know.
Because I don't want to smoke toilet paper.
Well, I guess it has to be like a more heavier duty hemp. So it might have a little grit to it. But people will get used to it because it's so useful.
People will get used to it.
Yes.
That should be the slogan.
You will get used to it.
People will get used to it. Oh, the snort. Amazing. Okay.
Anyways, there is no soccer mom.
Doesn't exist.
No. I mean, what is a soccer mom? How would you picture a soccer mom? What is it to you?
Well, you want the stereotype of the soccer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
she's in a minivan.
Yeah.
Middle America.
Yeah.
She's got 6 kids in
Her
her
name
car.
is Karen.
Karen or Kathy.
Yes.
And
With a K and an IE.
yeah, and she's very busy on the way to soccer practice. Because what else would a soccer mom be doing?
Long ass day.
She's probably got a stupid sticker on her car, like baby on board.
Oh, no. She has the whole family.
Oh, right. The whole
stick
stupid
people.
stick people family.
I've always wanted to go over the razor blade and take a couple legs off of them. But the thing is, though, you have cameras in parking lots now. So you can't do that. But
Don't do that.
can you imagine? You come back, Johnny's missing a leg. Who decapitated Dad?
Take the leg, make it the dad's dick. That's what I would do.
You and I are going out after this with razor blades.
Oh my god.
Because isn't there a preschool up the street?
No razor blade. I take it back. Okay.
Anyways, so that's the same thing for me too. But and then
It doesn't exist. So why does everybody just want this profile to exist?
I think it is the marketing agency that doesn't know anything about cannabis, pitches to the client and say, we're going to go after the soccer mom.
Yeah.
And the client goes, yeah, because in their head they're seeing the woman buying shit on Amazon or toilet paper and all that stuff. She controls the household. She makes the big decisions. Well, why?
Get used to it.
So she's going to make the decisions of what weed to bring into the house. That makes sense, right? No.
It does make sense, but not for weed.
No, not for at least another 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
Because that market is hanging out there. They're doing their thing, but
this is the other thing I've realized with that demographic, because I've explored this. Mm-hmm. I give products to my stepmom and all this stuff, and she likes to try. She doesn't like to be high, but she'll try whatever, And she has like this much of something, like so little. And then whatever I give her, like literally lasts forever. And so I'm thinking to myself, how much does it cost to acquire this individual?
Right.
And what are they going to spend with me forever? Again, back to the customer acquisition, lifetime value question, right? So yes, does she have a lot of disposable income? Yes. Is she buying weed? No.
No. And it goes back to your question that you asked at the beginning about taxation, right? The people that are buying the stuff are people who've always bought it. And if you're going to tax the hell out of it, and you're right, they're not going to go buy it retail. They're going to go and do what they were doing before. So how do we get that market back? Bring down taxes, or you can, and the margin.
See, I don't think it's about really like.
Really?
I think that people are too stuck in this narrative of sort of black and white, as if people are like, I stand for the illegal black market, you know, like they're a Trumper or something, you know? And it's not like that. People are just faced every day with the question of, my homie's here and he's going to give me this $5 gram, or I can go to MedMen and I have to buy a $65 eighth.
Right.
And that's just what happens every day over and over and over again, at least in California. I can't speak for what it's like in Denver, but at least in California. And so, like, I mean, you can't make the customer the bad guy, right? It's like, this is systemic. And I think that we, again and again and again, like to associate cannabis and drugs with criminals. And that's just not the fucking case, you know? It's just not the case. The answer is, it's outrageously priced. If vodka was outrageously priced, people would start making vodka in their bathtub. You know, that's just what they would do. Exactly. So anyway, I'm ranting. But.
Oh, no, but this sort of, at first, I always thought, teach people to grow, right?
Yep.
As a thing. But the thing is, though, growing weed is not easy.
It's hard, yeah.
Oh, my God. I had some plants inside and outside. My outside plants, they were the poor stepkids. Oh, sorry, you're a stepchild, right? So,
I'm not poor, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The plants outside didn't get as much love, but they were doing well. I mean, they were fine. And then they were, I mean, looking at the magnifying glass, I thought, okay, they're ready to go. And as I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it through the glass, what pops out in the middle of one of them? Mr. Green Inchworm.
Okay.
Right? And I thought, oh my God, the whole plant is probably full of caterpillars. Of course it was, right? Because I had 2 bricks and I came up and started slamming each one, right? And then I thought, there's nothing left. So even teaching people to grow is not how we're going to be able to get medicine to everyone.
And the at-home grows aren't a thing either. Sorry, Yoni and Leaf. He's a friend of mine, but no one's doing that. I'm sorry. Like, it's just not. I mean, maybe there's a certain like I would do it, but like
it would take you 6 months before you even got to your plant.
Well, that's true, but and also I'm just like some super consumer, right? Like I don't exist in the demographic statistics, so like I don't know. I think the answers are right in front of us. Just as usual, people are greedy, and governments are no different. They're fucking greedy, and they're just milking it. And you know what? The overall narrative, if we talk about the overall narrative, does anybody really feel bad for the weed industry? Like, let's be real, you know? Like, if we're in it, I see that. There's problems every day. They're my problems too. I help people in the industry. That's what I do. But in the big picture, you know, like, does anybody feel bad? Like, oh, fuck, like, the weed industry isn't growing like they thought it would. No, nobody cares, you know?
It's cycles. But the thing is, though, it's not as sexy anymore.
It's not sexy at all.
When I get these pings from LinkedIn and I look at the person's profile, it's like advocate. I said, yeah, Another one is ganja guru or something like that, or master grower. And I thought, and then you kind of look at what else they were doing, and I thought, well, okay, maybe you were growing, you know, on illegal markets, and you're working at Walmart during the day. But okay, but it's when it gets to LinkedIn, you're thinking. That's like hanging out with your really old uncle and aunt.
Totally.
It's like, ugh.
That's funny.
That's what I was like, ugh.
That's a good way to say it. Producer Eric gets mad at me because I stopped checking my LinkedIn. I have 150 messages.
Ooh.
And I can't. It's so
One of them coming from
overwhelming.
Bill Gates.
I'm really sorry if you LinkedIn messaged me in the last year or 6 months, but it's so overwhelming.
Oh, there are some nuts on there.
I know.
Before LinkedIn got hot, it was boring, right? But now it's people coming out of the woodwork, and
here's the other thing.
You can't. Sorry.
Sorry to cut you off.
Facebook too.
I cannot look at Facebook. But the other thing is, anybody that's real and worth a shit, you can find my email so easily. Like, it's available. And so if you're not taking the additional 30 seconds to send me an email, which I check religiously, like, who are you, you know?
It's
You know what I'm saying? Like I use LinkedIn, but then I find the person,
Right.
and then I'm like, okay, who do I know that knows that person? Can I get an email intro? This is how humans work, right?
Oh.
Like,
going back to the old days in LinkedIn. When I first started in 2015, there were very, very few weed people on there. But the ones that did want to connect were all, one guy was wearing a gas mask and a hoodie on his avatar, right? And I thought, why are you even here? It's like, I don't understand.
this is social networking.
This does not make sense. It's like, what two things don't go together?
Yeah.
A guy with a gas mask and a hoodie trying to connect on LinkedIn. Really? It's like,
That's
but
hilarious.
then that was entertaining. But now it's just really boring. They all look like I'm an accountant.
I think that our early ability to not give a fuck about that really helped us. And I have to shout out and thanks to OnFleet. You know what OnFleet is? The delivery software platform. Anyway, startup in San Francisco. And I worked there for a couple of years. A lot of clients in the cannabis industry. But to their credit, they let me do this and said, we support weed. We support you. Put whatever you want on LinkedIn and in the world or wherever. Doesn't bother us. And I got a lot of love and respect for that for a long time. That's really cool. But anyway, we just early on didn't give a shit. You know, it was in my LinkedIn. It was everywhere early, you know. And so everybody like that wanted to talk. They were like, wow, like this white dude in San Francisco is like, you know, anyway. I think that helped.
It was cool back then.
It was cool.
Because I
thought I was so cool.
Oh, I was totally cool. On one time riding on the shuttle from dropping a car off at the park, off-site parking at LAX, right? I'm sitting there. I'm saying, hey, where are you guys going? Just make chatter. And he said, well, we're going here. And they asked me, I said, well, I'm going to a cannabis convention. And he said, really? What do you do? And I said, blah, 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 blah. And one guy said to me, are you high? And I replied, okay, if I owned a winery, would you ask me if I was drunk right now?
Right.
And he went, no.
Yeah.
And I said, so there's your answer.
Yeah.
No. And that was always at the beginning. He said, you're in a camp? Are you stoned right now? Come on.
People ask me that every day. Still, all the time. Weed people ask me.
It's like, no, it's
really inappropriate.
Well,
I think.
It's like you know, did you take a poop today?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, yeah. Oh, I know.
How's your bulimia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's sort of like.
It's very personal.
It is. Yeah. But then again, that has changed. Now you get on anywhere's. Oh, yeah, my cousin's. Oh, okay. At a wedding of one of my students over the weekend, he said, "Oh, you got to meet this guy." He's
Mushroom student.
No. When I taught at Art Center, this guy said, the groom said, you have to meet this guy. He's in cannabis, just like you.
Just like you.
I thought, okay. So I walk up to the guy and say, hi, how you doing? And I said, what do you do? He says, I'm an investor. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So have you been, what are you doing? He said, well, you know, I love going to Humboldt. You know, Humboldt's my town, da-da-da. I said, that's interesting. And then he says, you know, I also get mushrooms, pounds of them, for $1,000 a pound. I went, okay. And he just kept going, rattling on. And I thought, oh, my Uber's here. I drove my car. It was a good, if you want to leave something, always say my Uber's here. Right? And then we go, oh, yeah, you better run out and get it. So,
that's smart.
Yes. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Don't say Lyft, because no one will believe you Lyft will ever made it to where you're going. So, so I just kind of ran from this guy.
Okay. That's a good story.
Yeah, thank you.
Good story. So we talked a little bit about this mythical audience of
soccer moms. Yeah.
But there is a pretty distinct groups in the cannabis industry right now. There's sort of like the old world Emerald Triangle
OGs.
Soulful OG crew. Exactly. And then there's white private equity dudes in suits from New York that are poking their nose around that don't smoke. Exactly. So for better or worse, I traverse this line almost every day. And I like to consider myself or our organization as sort of a bridge in that way. Because I really do smoke weed. we're really smoking weed in here. And I really do have a lunch after this with a middle-aged white dude, and we're going to talk about debt. So like, that's what I do. Like, that's kind of what the role that we play, but there are really two distinct groups. And we had Betsy Baker on the show.
I love Betsy.
One of my favorite people.
She can't talk right now, but we should go
She's in
to where
another
she is.
quiet meditation.
Yeah, and we should actually try and make her talk by looking over the fence. And, Betsy, we got your dog. Say something. We got your dog.
I would love to do that.
That'd be hilarious. And
Can we do
she'll
that?
be going like this. Answer yes if you want him to live. No nodding.
Blink twice if you agree with us.
No blinking. You gotta say it.
Oh, wow.
It's not breathing. We got your grandma right here too. She's looking blue.
How do we bring these two groups together? How do we get the white dudes and the weed people to play more nicely together?
Then let's look for something that's similar to that, an analogy in the past. Internet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, we can't because all the internet people are white. All right, let's go.
They're Asian too.
I know.
Yeah.
Most of fiber, I think.
Don't put me out here.
So,
like that.
Well, how do we get them together?
Let me ask you a different question.
Give them jobs. Give the equity.
How do women fit into that landscape? Because I talked about this with Betsy at length, and Betsy's a good friend. We talk about this stuff all the time. And when she doesn't see herself in a room, it's very hard for her to feel comfortable and network, as they say. And I don't have that particular problem, but I also realize that I'm a straight white dude and I got a little gray hair these days, and like, I'm accepted, that's just how it is. How do you feel in those environments, and how do you deal with it? Is it an issue for you being, well, let's take it in two parts. Is being Asian an obstacle?
Good question. All right. So this is how someone asked me that once too. And at the beginning, when I first started, I would walk into a room and it'd be all marshmallows, right? Just marshmallows, right? And I would be looking for another raisin, right? It would be like, raisin, marshmallow. And then when you find the other raisin in that room, you kind of lock eyes and you think, there's another person here that looks like me. So you run over and go, hey, how you doing? And then, remember Animal House, the movie?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. There's a scene where they're rushing, right? And the two guys, Flounder and the other guy, go to the Chad and Biff's or Bob.
Yeah.
And Chad and Biff bring them in and says, come on in, guys. We want to introduce you to someone just like you. And they bring them to a back room where there's an Indian guy, a guy in a wheelchair, a blind guy, and a black guy, right? Mm-hmm. That's what cannabis is like sometimes. Like, come on in. Let me introduce you to this. You might. And then you go into the room and you're like, oh, all right. So that's how it feels sometimes.
Is there any hope?
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah, I'm always optimistic. Yeah.
I think so too.
I think so too.
You know why?
There's going to be someone who's going to come and pick up all the pieces.
Every generation has said this in some form or another. But I really do feel like males that are my generation and younger, they're pretty aware of this kind of stuff. And I don't know, at least in California, like, I think people are pretty sensitive to the fact that minorities and women have been excluded, and we should at least be nice, Now, I also run into the problem where I don't believe in like affirmative action or something like that, where I'm not just going to specifically work with people because I'm trying to help black people, but it's a meritocracy, and I have no problem with Asian or green, yellow, blue, purple, whatever, I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to make money.
Well, here's the secret. All right. If I was a white woman, I'd start a photo agency for cannabis. Yeah, I would have made an interesting story. But I realized that being Asian, right, because Asians hate weed, female, that I could use that to my advantage.
I think particularly Asian females hate weed.
Oh my God.
Because I got plenty of Asian guy friends that like weed.
I ran with that as bait for media pieces because it added another layer of interest.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So being Asian for me is
a plus.
Huge plus.
I love that you've turned that on its ear like that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And so whatever
That's what everybody needs to do, you know? Like whatever you are, make it a positive. Use it to your advantage, you know?
Right.
That's cool. And how about as a woman?
I never thought as myself as male or female. I just thought of myself as what I am.
Yeah.
And I never saw any disadvantages of being me.
Yeah.
So I never felt held back.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was not getting what I needed. No.
So help me understand. Because when I talk about these issues, I only hope to understand. I have 3 sisters. I have a mom. I have a stepmom. A lot of women in my life. Other women that I won't shout out at the moment. But I still am learning every day about women. I learn something new. Why is there this overarching narrative that women and minorities are getting fucked either in the cannabis industry or in this industry or whatever? Because as you just enumerated, and please don't let me offend you, you're not that young, right?
Nope.
Like you've been doing this for a bit.
Forever.
Yeah. And like you're saying it was an obstacle for you. Is that what I heard? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, it wasn't an obstacle for me.
So then why is there this
because
gasp?
But I think it is true, though, because even maybe I haven't found it in this industry, but throughout my career as a photographer, designer, working with bands, I was harassed a lot by men and women in many ways. And so it's not, I'm not saying that I've never had these issues.
Yeah.
I am just saying in cannabis right now, I haven't seen it. For me personally, there is a lot of abuse and there is a lot of inequality in this industry. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying on my personal level, I have not experienced it. But that's me.
Where do you see it?
For women, I see that there's not enough support, right? Because a lot of women do 3 or 4 jobs. Right? They have a full-time job to support what they want to do in the industry. They probably have a family. They might or might not have a partner. And so they're all trying to do it on their own. I would say 95% of the women I know and that I adore are maybe have a staff of 2. Right? And they're trying every day to get this business going.
Because of a lack of funding?
Lack of
funding. It's
harder
for them to raise money?
And also a lack of help.
But that goes with money, right?
Yes. And also we don't like asking. A lot of women, we're going to try and do this as hard as we can on our own until we finally break down. Right? So I think a lot of it is daily struggle. Mm-hmm. But it is, just to keep your business running.
Well, look, the cannabis industry is challenging, but I don't think that's inherently female.
Okay, let's see. I think we're better at pulling out women and highlighting them in cannabis. But how big is the cannabis industry compared to, say...
It's tiny.
Yeah, food and beverage or accounting or law.
But if you work in the industry, it's everything, right?
You would have to, yes, because we're a very tiny pond.
Yeah.
Very tiny.
Yeah.
And once something happens in the next year, it's going to become this ocean.
What's that thing?
It could be legalization, right? Okay. Because someone might throw that out there to win a certain segment of the voting public.
Now we're talking about Trumpito.
Yes.
Let's divulge just a little bit and talk about not just generally politics, but like in relation to weed. Do you think it matters who wins the presidential election?
Yes.
Yeah?
I do. Because right now we're at a climate crisis and the EPA has completely changed on 180. Yes, maybe we had the lowest rate of unemployment today in 50 years. But then again, that's just a headline. We need to read the rest. Why
There's
is
a lot
it?
of underemployment happening.
Yes, and
Uber
also
drivers and
we're looking at the season too, when the most hiring is done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's beyond the headline. I just believe and also we're, Syria, Turkey, and what we have now we're going to get that Christmas gift of an impeachment.
Right.
So
Does that matter to you?
yes, it does.
Why?
Because I'm a Canadian, but I became an American citizen in 2000 so I could vote.
Okay.
Right? Because I was paying enough taxes, I thought, why am I doing this? And I can't say anything that I want my roads fixed.
Yeah.
So I became an American citizen because I believe in this country. I've voted in every election, minor, major.
In California,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I believe in this country that much that I want this place to be what I saw in 2000. And so for me, it might be stronger than someone who's born here because I don't take it for granted.
Oh, absolutely. No, I had a grandmother. She's dead now, but she survived the Holocaust. She was a German Jew and survived the Holocaust. And then she lived most of her life in the U.S. And she was so patriotic, like way more patriotic and excited about America than me. You know, I was like cynical, like Californian, you know. Just amazing how that works, right? Like if you experience something different, you value
and you made
the
a
good
choice
so much. You made a choice.
Just like if you choose to use cannabis or weed or pot, you become an advocate for it.
How about those words? I have these conversations about what words to use all the time. In fact, with my parents pretty recently, like what's the appropriate terms? They say pot sometimes. Pot has sort of an old derogatory feeling for me. I know a lot of people use it. I say weed.
I love weed.
I think weed is the sort of harmless version. I know that marijuana has a negative Hispanic
Too many syllables.
context. It's also a weird word. I agree. Cannabis, it's very scientific. That's how I speak about it formally. But I don't smoke cannabis. I'm gonna smoke weed. So, do you agree with that? Do you use those words? What do you call
I'm
them?
not on the same plane with you on that one because cannabis seems too PC.
Yeah, exactly.
And to make me use a word that is not natural to me.
Yeah.
Because it shows that I'm PC is kind of hypocritical.
Yeah.
I'm going to use whatever word that I'm most comfortable with, but I'm not going to be a racist or say things like that. But
no. If you say marijuana, you're not a racist.
No,
but there are, these things matter. The way that we talk about things matter.
Who does it matter to?
I think that it matters to a subset of Hispanics that identify with...
Well, not marijuana. But who does it matter to that we have to use a proper word, whatever it is for them?
Well, what I'm asking you is, does it matter?
No.
Okay.
I don't... Do you get into your automobile? You get into your car? Your ride? I mean, really...
I'm whipping.
The truck. But the thing is, and also it is putting a word that you're supposed to use to show that you are with them. But the thing is, I am with them in spirit and heart and everything else.
Yeah.
And if it's contingent on one word, then I don't want to be in that club.
Yeah.
It's there.
Good
looks
answer.
like I'm going to get a third asshole soon.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about you. What kind of consumer are you? What do you smoke? What do you like?
Oh, that's a good question too, because it leads up to my almost 15 years of sobriety from alcohol. All right. And so when I came into the industry, I had to decide, all right, do I say, quote words, quote, sober, or do I actually use weed? Right. And it took a while, and because I started researching it.
How long were you an alcoholic for?
It wasn't that long. It was basically because I was with a lot of bands. after I graduated high school, right? You kind of is ride
It's
or
just
die.
a party environment all the time.
Lord, yes. And then publishing. Those public people in publishing are the biggest alcoholics ever. But
And lawyers.
Oh yeah, and I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You say, hey, want a martini? All right. So,
especially if they're paying for it, right?
oh, well, so by using weed, I did so much research on it, and I realized that what I was thinking was all propaganda. Just like the people who said to me in that show, are you stoned?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I realized that it's a plant-based medicine. So, but right now, I still, knowing my OCD and my addiction problems, I will do 10 to 20 milligrams of an edible to go to sleep and maybe a dog walker.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Other than that, then here right now, being a people pleaser, yes, I did smoke a joint with you.
But did you do that just for me? You didn't have to do that.
No, I did a little bit because it's Friday.
It's
but
Friday.
Also, I know that if I sit down for a certain amount of time, I'm perfectly fine to drive.
Right.
Right. I wouldn't have smoked it and gotten in my car.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's smart too.
that is also again awareness of what
of
my
yourself.
tolerance.
Yeah. I don't drive ever. Like I don't know. That's just not cool for me. I get some people, none of my business, but for me, I can't be
I think
inebriated
people who are stoned
driving.
who
That's not cool.
Go 2 miles an hour thinking they're going 80.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
But
And
that's dangerous too, especially on a freeway in LA. Fuck.
well, no, how fast the freeways go in LA?
80.
No, most of the time it's probably like 30.
I go 80.
I thought you said you didn't drive.
One day a week.
Okay. So, yeah, actually I got here pretty fast. I was surprised how just a little bit over the limit I was going.
You traverse the crazy world of LA.
Oh, if you want to go back to the race question, I'm not profiled, right? Yeah. I'm not. So driving up and down in San Francisco with certain products, I was never stopped.
Oh, I see.
Right? Because I look like some Korean PTA mom.
I never get stopped either.
And just waving, hey, how you doing? Just going to see my kids at UC Berkeley.
So back to sobriety.
Yes. Okay.
That's where we were.
All right.
I don't love alcohol, actually. I
never liked it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You just kind of just happened for you.
Yeah, because it was, and then you don't think, I'm not an alcoholic because I'm not drunk every day. I'm not an alcoholic because I'm not
you start
stumbling.
justifying it.
Yeah, or yes. So, it was one day I just couldn't justify anymore, and I just stopped drinking that day.
Got it. And was that challenging?
For 2 years it was, because I would wake up with nightmares thinking I was drinking.
Wow.
I never went back to drinking.
And in those 2 years, were you having any cannabis or no?
No, I think because mentally you have to just detox, right? And then if you're trying to replace it with something else, then really you're not figuring out what the root problem was.
You're not dealing with it. Yeah. Okay. And then after that couple year period, how long before you find cannabis before you?
Let's see. 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot of sobriety.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that must have been a scary moment to say, I'm going to try.
No, not really, because I did an edible first. I only did edibles for the first probably year.
Okay.
I might have smoked 1 or 2 joints, but even then, not that much. But I did grow 23 plants my first year.
Got it.
Because I wanted to know the life cycle of a plant, because I'm in the business.
Sure.
So I popped all these seeds, figure out male, female, and I had a crop of 23 at the end of it. Gave it all away. But for me, it's that if you're in this industry, you got to know the plant. Yeah. If you sell ketchup, you got to know a tomato. Right? You sell a car, you've got to be able to drive it.
True story.
Right? So same thing. If you're going to sell weed, know the plant.
Yeah. Go to Oaksterdam.
Yeah.
You know Oaksterdam, right?
Yeah.
In Oakland, they teach you everything.
Or you can just teach yourself.
You can, but
I did.
Small plug. Anyway.
It's a great school.
It's cool, yeah. I did an episode with Dale, the chancellor, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. Well, this has been rad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I enjoyed it.
And very interesting. I like your perspective on many different things. Plug your stuff. What do you do best in the world? What can you offer someone? Yeah.
Listen and restructure distressed companies.
Okay. So if someone is bleeding at the moment,
I'm there with a Band-Aid.
I like that.
and then I don't rip off the scab until it's ready.
So we do this thing where if you had to have a neon sign above your head for the rest of your life, it follows you around everywhere, what would that neon sign say?
It would be Happy Banana.
Happy Banana.
That's
That's a great place to. That sounds like a great weed
I was
strain.
going to say
Actually,
Happy Vagina, but that doesn't sound so good.
sounds great to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. It could be, Happy Banana, Happy Vagina. Either one.
Happy Banana, Happy
Yeah.
Vagina.
Yeah.
You're funny. You know that?
Because it's happy. And, I got one. So,
I got one.
It's
Yeah.
like-
Good stuff. Well, thanks again. It was
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah.